Hey all, welcome back to My Autism, My Voice. For this episode, I wanted to talk about one of the biggest priorities I think as an autism community we need to focus on, and that is an early diagnosis. Now, I know some people get diagnosed later, and I know that for some situations it happens in adulthood, it happens when you're a teenager, but I feel like in our autism community, one of the biggest things we need to approach in everything we do is whenever we have the smallest hunch that something could be wrong or we have a thought that someone might have autism, we really need to get that individual to get diagnosis as soon as humanly possible. So I think an early diagnosis doesn't really even be considered for just children, but it could also be focused on teenagers, it could be focused on adults, and it could be focused on the entire spectrum of autism. And I think that's very, very important that we need to focus on. I was diagnosed when I was 4, which back when I was diagnosed, which was in 92 when I was 4, was basically the focus of an early diagnosis. That was the age when people were like, oh, that's exactly when you're supposed to get diagnosed. Now in 2012, the focus is more on getting an even earlier diagnosis when you're 1 or when you're 2, and that's really the earliest you can get it, and then 4 is kind of on the late side. And I feel like it's important for us to spread awareness to every person we know to make sure that if they think that someone could have autism, that we make sure we educate them on the right places to go to get a diagnosis in their state, in their town, to make sure that we're doing as much as possible. Because after that, that's when we can really analyze and start figuring out what's the next step. Is there going to be treatments involved? Is there going to be a future diagnosis is involved? What kind of schools do we put them in, and etc. and so forth. So I think that's the most important thing that our autism community needs to focus on. So make sure early diagnosis stays a high priority for now, for the future, and for all time in our autism community, because I think that's the number one thing we really need to focus on. So thanks guys so much for watching.